My name is Heshy Tishler. I'm running for City Council of the 44th District in Brooklyn. It encompasses Brooklyn, Borough Park, Bensonhurst, Flatbush, and we have many different multicultural people in our community. It's about 35% to 40% Jewish, and we have many different areas that are distinct in its own life, and we have a lot of issues that not only are for the Jewish community, but we have for the Catholic and Muslim community issues as well. And when I discuss my issues and who I am, I think broadly. I think about everybody, how to help everybody. My solutions are not just for the one particular area of the neighborhood, it's for my community. And a lot of people say, well, the city needs this. When I'm running for city councilman, and this is who I am, I'm running to serve my community, my district, to solve the district problem issues that I have right now to get it out of me. And before you ask me your next question, everybody has this great saying, and it's been going around for years. Let's think out of the box. Think out of the box. Why? We have the box. We have the problems. The problems are in the box. Thinking outside the box doesn't solve the problems. I need to take from within the box and solve its own problems. I'll worry about future problems later on. Right now, I'm going to solve the problems within the box, and I'm going to fix those problems for you.
What are the main complaints you're hearing on the campaign trail? What are those issues that you're hearing?
A lot of people come to me with some major issues because they don't have a lot of time to either discuss their problems with me, and I have a lot of complaints. My job is always to complain. To my staff, to my family, I go in and I find the problems and I start the complaints from beginning to end. Good to bad, I want to know every single problem. Sure, people have told me you can't solve every problem, Heshy. I never said I can. But I want to know the problems. I want to know every issue out there. And I will start one at a time. The main issue that the people have been complaining about, my constituents as well as me, is the parking issue. It's not so much the parking that they're upset about, but they are upset about the parking during the day. Parking, a traffic flow. And I've had solutions to this. I think I was the first one that came up with this a few years ago, and I'm the one who now proposed it to the constituents, and I'll be bringing it up at my debate. Basically simple. I need to get 3,000 to 4,000 cars out of the streets in Borough Park and Flatbush to ease traffic. That is the people's main issue. Heshy, it takes me to drive from 13th Avenue and 39th Street to 54th Street 40 minutes. Forget they can't find parking. Forget the traffic officers are going to give them a ticket 6 seconds into their stop. They're going to get tickets right away. People have these issues. So I have a plan, a 3-point plan on how to ease the traffic flow. Yesterday I was driving down 16th Avenue and 50th Street, and I saw a traffic cop just flowing traffic along, moving it along, and I jumped out of the car and I stopped and went over to him. I said, thank you. I actually shook it. I said, wow. I said, you're doing a great job. He says, yes, I'm moving the traffic along. I said, you're not giving tickets. This is wonderful what you're doing. And I was proud of it. This is what we should be doing. We should be stationing traffic cops to flow traffic along, not to stop it and give us tickets. We should create thousands of parking spots, take the buses off the streets. This morning I saw sanitation moving garbage along at 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I saw it at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Why don't we have a community group of individual members and community residents? Not for the other parts of the city, I'm not interested right now. Right now in my community, how to restructure the garbage pickup times to ease the traffic flow, to ease the garbage, to ease the parking situation. So I don't have alternate side of the street parkings. Everybody says, let's remove alternate side of the street parking. Maybe there's a way we can with a proper new time schedule. I don't know if it's possible. People are asking me crazy things, but parking is their main issue. My main issue, and I'm going to tell you right now, is I have a problem with education. I want my children to be educated. I want school programs. I want aftercare programs where the kids don't come home and have nothing what to do. I want them to get extra studies. I want them to have jobs. Everybody says, well, Heshy, you're such a big talker. Now we graduate, what are you going to do jobs? Just speak to people in the community to hire us? No, of course I'm going to try to do that as well. But you know, there's so many different websites and programs out there, like the Gig Network. You ever hear of the Gig Network? It's a way that you can go online and look for jobs. You can look for jobs to drive an Uber car for a week, to replace somebody, make extra money, to be a carpenter that's used it, to do a couple of lines of coding on the computer, to do data entry. Money to be making a couple extra income. Why should we be below the income level? Why should we make $10 an hour? Why should we make our young people suffer? We can find jobs for them. We can help them out. And this is my biggest problem. My biggest problem, housing. Again, you asked me the issues, but these are everybody says you have 20 different issues. I have 20 different problems if you want me to go through. But the housing problem for me is personal. My kids just recently got married. There was no place for them to find. I had to travel all the way out of my district to look for apartments that were in such terrible condition, charging me $3,000 a month rent for a small little apartment, plus heat, plus electric, plus I had to fix it up. It was like ridiculous. I ended up getting lucky. I found something on Ocean Parkway. I'm a little bit more successful than some other people, so I got a little luckier with the help of my family to take care of my children. But the issue of housing is people want to use empty land for other spaces. David Greenfeld and my competitor opponent, I'm not going to knock their ideas. Everybody wants me to knock my opponents, Yoni Heiken's ideas or Kalman Yeager. I'm not knocking their ideas. They have their ideas. Listen to what they have to say. Listen to what I have to say. Whoever comes up with the better idea, that's the one you should be choosing. I'm not saying what they're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is what my idea is right. I find a piece of land, David Greenfield says, well, you can't use land. There's no such thing. Change the zoning laws. There are variances. There are ways that the city gets it done for their buildings. Federal government, we can change it. There is place that you can take away people's property. The government can take away a piece of property from a private citizen and pay him. Why can't we not take away property from a citizen, take an empty piece of land, instead of making it into a parking lot? What we can do is, or make it into a park, make it into housing, make it smaller.
But then don't you say the argument is, again, you just said parking was a major issue. Another building, where are people going to park?
So again, with zoning regulations, and as you know, I'm in the architectural and expediting field. Hey, you want to build a 12-story building with 90 residents? Let's make it less. Make it an 8-story building. Make underground parking. Cut the building down smaller. I'm sorry. Yes, you're not going to make a maximized profit. We're going to cut it down, but you're going to create new housing. You're going to ease the parking situation, and we're going to put it in regular. It's now in effect anyways. Just come up with a better idea on how to make it work.
Would you propose that every building that goes up must have an underground parking?
No, I'm not saying underground parking. Not agreed. Any building that goes up has to create parking.
Well, how do you do that if you're not going to have underground parking? Parking where?
Nothing. I was building a building in Williamsburg. Was a 75-foot wide building. We were allowed to build from property line to property line. What we decided to do is we created a 12-foot driveway. And the second floor we did an overlap of the building. And what we did was we allowed you to drive through the building and created parking spaces in the backyard. Okay, instead of creating a garden or whatever was in the backyard or a playground. And yes, you could create underground parking as well if you want to spend the money and then use the background spaces, outdoor space to make money with it. So there's so many different ideas. You're right, the guy lost a part of the building, lost a couple of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that was the price he had to pay to make his building successful. And he had to create 14, my landlord, 14 parking spots. There are ways around that, you know, sometimes somebody says, well, I have a 3-bedroom apartment, I'm going to add in another bedroom. You can't. You're going to have the living room. I recently had an apartment available for rent. It's a small 4-bedroom, really a 3-bedroom apartment with a den and a kitchen. Nothing great. And my wife and me, we decided on amount to rent, and then we came down in the price. We felt that not that we didn't need the money, but we wanted a couple that needed the place, that could afford the place. We know the struggles of other people. We're not trying to be special. We don't have 90 apartments. We're not big real estate people. We had something come up for rent. And the people that came to us, I just put it in the paper. Not even the paper, sorry, I put it on the internet and Facebook and then on Craigslist. And I promise you I got 100 calls. And the people that called me were families of 8 and 10. And I was talking to them, I said, I don't understand. My landlord's selling the house. I'm living now in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment with 8 children. I said, let's figure you have 8 children plus the 2 of you, that's 10. People are sleeping on the floor. One guy says, I have 6 children. I said, 6? Yeah, I have really 8, but 2 of them are out of town. I said, they're not gonna come back and visit? Just imagine how they're living in the squalor, even if they're taking good care of the apartment. And why aren't we creating space for these people? They're struggling, they're suffering. And people think, my objective here was, and I'm going to keep repeating it, I want to create a social contract with my community to better the life of my citizens, to my neighbors, my friends. My fellow constituents want to be your leaders, and I keep saying this. They want to be your partners, they want to be your leaders. I'm not interested. I'm interested to guide you. You all know which way to go. You know what to do. You're your father, you're the fathers, you're the mothers, you're the one struggling. You know your pains. You know the holes in the shoes. You know when the winter comes and you can't afford a pair of gloves, how bitter it is. I know what you need. You need me to help you. And that's what I'm here for to do.
How would you solve let me rephrase that. Would you be for angle parking in Williamsburg? That has worked through many places. If you remember in the good old days, by Ross Street, where a lot of chasana halls are, let's say at Terrace Avram, they created angle parking. That created hundreds of new parking spots because of that. Is that something you think can be done, let's say on streets on like 39th Street, 60th Street, where the streets are wider, that if on one side maybe you can have angle parking? Or 14th Avenue also?
I've looked into it. 14th Avenue and 15th Avenue, even though you guys think they're big avenues, with the double and triple parking, it's not going to work with the people passing.
Well, 15th Avenue make a one-way.
Right. We're going to, and again, that has to be discussed with the community. I remember when they changed 13th and 14th Avenue without our permission, one summer right before we came home from the country, most of the people,
that was under Councilman Deere, right? And there's so much opposition.
There was so much opposition, people got angry. It wasn't discussed, it wasn't put out for a vote. It wasn't sent as a mailers, no comments came back. I happened to like the one-way idea, but it didn't ease the congestion. It didn't make things better, it made it even worse, because now people are able to double park or triple park on the same avenue. But you're right, it is moving along, and maybe we should get more traffic cops there. I do like the angle idea. Problem is we have to look into it if it really works and on what streets, like you said. It doesn't work on every street. I don't believe 14 and 15 will work, but 60th Street, 39th Street. But again, 60th Street and 39th Street are commercial areas where the trucks need to go in and out. It'll be more complicated. I've heard of that angle parking idea so many different times. I just haven't seen it in effect. Besides the Williamsburg, I haven't seen it effect out here. I've seen it I think I've seen it in Crown Heights too, 1 or 2 places. I like the angle idea. Again, I'm open-minded. I'm even open-minded to my opponent's ideas, but not right now. Right now, when I become councilman, I want to attack the issues that I have. Then afterwards, I can come up with the futuristic ideas of how to clean streets and how to build parks. Right now, I must solve the problems of today. I'll worry about the problems of tomorrow or later. I want to stop worrying about today.
Yeah, but that is a problem today.
Yeah.
That is not a tomorrow problem.
I know.
You just said it's 25 years. 13th Avenue only got worse.
Only got worse, and it's harder. And that's why I told you, if you would have, as I just said at the beginning, I'm going to, my plan, which I didn't want to discuss because I didn't think we have the time for it, but my plan is to take the sanitation place on 19th and 20th Avenue and create 3,000 to 4,000 parking spots, maybe if I'm lucky more. I had somebody came over to me with ideas how to raise parking and do mechanical parking, and if we're already spending the kind of money of $4 million to build a park, you know, I was in the park on the holiday recently, and people were complaining, Heshy, that's a $3 million toilet bowl? You should be ashamed of yourself. I said, I didn't build it. He says, there's not even water working in there, you know, and this is on the holiday when you had hundreds of people actually using the park. This is why our Councilman Greenfeld built it. He says, just for our kids. And half of the items in there won't work, and it's a brand new thing. So I want to use the money properly to create 3,000 to 4,000 spots, maybe even more with a good imagination.
But how? How are you going to do it? You keep on saying, you know, you'd like to. How?
This big lot, and we're going to make a municipal parking lot.
Which lot?
19th Avenue, 20 by the sanitation. They want to give it away to private developers or some kind of a private organization. I want to stop that. I want to make this a municipal lot run by a private organization that will give us a bid that will go up every 2 or 3 years. Now, once we create these parking spots, you're going to park there. Municipal parking, a fair parking price. Not in, hey, if you park on the street, you're paying anyways. What is it, $1 or $2 for every hour, if not more? Plus, if you get a ticket, it's $35, $40. You park by a bus stop, you know, you get another $100 ticket. You park in my municipal lot. Avenue J, all the people, Flatbush Ball Club are essentially located. You get in there, there'll be buses every 15 minutes running up 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, all the avenues, taking you to Flatbush Avenue. Again, it all has to be figured out. This, it's called a park and ride system, like the airport, and it works wonderful there, and the airport is a gigantic place. Now, you have your packages which you can take on the bus with you and take it back to your car. And if you really don't want to do that, then you can just come back with your car. There'll be, now that we removed most of the parking areas or the parking congestion and the driving, you can take your car, drive through the area. We'll have traffic cops moving traffic along, and you can pick up your stuff. Plus, most of these places on most of the avenues do deliver this stuff. So again, I have this great idea that I know will work. It has to work, and nobody has refuted that idea whatsoever. Just that nobody put, it's a plain, simple idea that should work, and it's city land. And I don't want them to go and make a park out of it. I want to make a parking lot out of it.
And how many times you drive down 13th Avenue and you see double parking, and with drivers in the car just sitting there?
I've seen many times drivers in the car, not double, even triple parking, and I've seen drivers not in the car. That's the problem, that you're driving down a lane, the car is double parked, you don't even see him in the car, and then you're stuck behind him because you can't cut into the other lane.
So you think maybe stricter enforcement?
I don't think stricter enforcement should be the problem, should be the issue here. I believe that we should have more supervision. That means instead of the traffic cops running around giving tickets, don't park here. Move it along, sir. You know, how many times have you drove on Atlantic Avenue and Manhattan and 42nd Street and 74th Street and you see the cops? No, 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 you can't pull over here. You ever see at the airports the cops drive by every 10 minutes? Move, and you see the traffic moving. You see all those people that pulled over and parked are moving.
Yeah, but do you think people just have to be told they don't know that you're not supposed to be?
They do know, but sometimes they misjudge. You know, my mother's coming out any minute. My son is coming out of the store. They don't know that it's another 8 or 10 minutes. So if you come by and the cop says, hey, she's coming out of the store, look, I'll help her. Yes, double park and load her up. But if he sees that nothing is happening, move along, sir. If she's coming out, we'll let you load up. We understand this, that you have to double park. But to sit over here 10, 15 minutes, unacceptable.
You know, Councilman Greenfield is going to be leaving at the end of December. How do you feel he's done? After all said and done, politics aside, did he do a good job?
I'm disappointed with David's overall performance. Taking credit for stuff that, you know, like the parks, he was so happy and he says, well, they had to spend the $3 million anyways. Unacceptable. Oh, we didn't have to supervise it. There are other departments that supervised it. You know, when we had the big snowstorm when he first became councilman, we tried to call his office 20 times. Hey, we're digging up streets. I have 20 young kids that were working or come to my house that we help, or we have young children that need places to come, and my house is always open. And we were digging streets, talking to our neighbors. We tried to say, listen, Councilman, direct us. You're the leader of the community. No return calls. You know, he had an issue, he had an idea of parking, of removing fire hydrants. You know, the ones that are not working so we can park there. Never came into effect. He's all proud of his Israel speech. I'm not interested. You have to do it. You have to take care of my district. Don't be worried about Israel and other problems. You want to make speeches, go privately to your homes, make events, but not in the city council. Don't do this. You have to represent my district. You know, somebody came up with a great idea, one of the people, that, you know, instead of a 15-foot span by the fire hydrants, make it a 5-foot span. And enforce that. And seriously enforce that. How do you enforce it? There are many ways. There are cameras all over the place. I'm not happy with Assemblyman Hyken's way he's done. You know, he promises to mix into local issues and then he doesn't mix into local issues. He just wants to get his face in the paper. Recently got his face in the paper with some SWAT stick and stuff. And then he disappeared. Now I understand that I heard that from the gossip from his office that he might have been a disgruntled employee. Or I think somebody that was, I forgot, I don't want to say it properly, but a citizen, a person who shouldn't be employed in the place. So they got upset with you, and Heiken heard about it and ran away. Again, these are just leaks that are on the street, and I'm not confirming anything. So again, where is he? Why isn't he following up? Why isn't he in the papers continuing? Their performances are subpar, and I'm going to give you one last reason. David Greenfield gets on the radio about 2 weeks ago and says, listen, let's collect for Puerto Rico. This is a councilman with some issues. He parks a truck in the middle of my spot, takes away parking. I don't know if he did take away parking, but I know he took away, it looks like he took away parking. He has this dumpster or whatever, this trailer sitting there with food piling in there supposedly. Now, 3-4 weeks later of the heat and so on, not being protected, I'm sure this stuff is spoiled. Why hasn't it been sent to Puerto Rico? Well, Heshy, it's not so easy, you're going to tell me, or we don't have the transportation, or Puerto Rico is shut down. There's a friend of mine, a good man, Rabbi Chanuk Kaplan, from Franklin Lakes, New Jersey. He not only shipped down to Puerto Rico already 2 plane loads, and if you need, I'll give you the website, to Puerto Rico to help the Jews and the non-Jewish people. This man struggles to run his community, run his daycare center, to run his synagogue, always run a budgeted thing, and was able to ship down 2 plane loads before that Mr. Greenfield was able to fill up a trailer where there's 150,000 people living in his community, and still hasn't shipped it out. You explained to me that performance. I'm disappointed with many different things. I'm disappointed on the parking issue with him, that he didn't come up with ideas. I'm disappointed with the issues of aftercare program. Do you know that the city has a lunch program for our young boys in school? Not kosher. It's a not kosher program.
Why are they making an issue now? Like they just woke up now? This is for years.
But we've been complaining about it, the parents, just that our councilmen and politicians haven't heard about it or didn't listen to us. I know that I have to pay for my son's lunch because it costs me extra money in the yeshiva because we're not part of the program or we don't have the kosher food.
If you become a councilman, would you?
That's one of my
bring
first
that
issues.
Up?
It's one of my first things to get the kosher lunch program in there because it's personal to me.
Would you bring a lawsuit if that's what you have to do against the city?
Again, a lot of people are busy with suing and torturing and causing issues. What I've done over the last 20-something years is I've learned how to navigate the system. I've learned the rules of the programs. I've learned the rules of the building department, the consumer affairs, licensing department, sanitation, vacate orders. I've learned different rules and companies of how to get people into housing programs, how to get them into, who to send them to get them certain vouchers, how to get them food when they're struggling on a weekend. I have a lot of people who are widows or divorced men and women who have families that just can't make it. And they say, Heshy, I'm embarrassed. And I call the program, or I say, send over a box of food, or we package it ourselves. I am involved with an organization called Sheva Sachem, which we feed now. I always say 92 families, but we're up to 100 families, and we always could use some money. Rabbi Fish is a holy man. So there are ways to direct people, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. I want to guide you. I don't want to always be in a fight. I want to find a way to solution or navigate the problem. Let's try to get you out of the hole for now. We'll solve the big issues later on, but right now we must solve your problem. Right now you need a pair of shoes. Right now I must get that child in yeshiva or school. I had a young girl a couple of years ago that was out of school, 3 months, 4 months. Nobody wanted to take her. There's a yeshiva called Chassan Soif. I don't want to knock them. The kid graduated 8th grade and he wanted to go to another religious school on 17th Avenue, a big Hasidic place. And the rabbi, I remember listening to the rabbi speak. And the rabbi says, well, the yeshivas should all take all children, no matter what, help them and guide them. When this kid left the school to get into this high school, he wouldn't take him in. Now, this is hypocritical. My kids went to a yeshiva called Kamenetz Torah Semes. When the kids graduated 8th grade, they should automatically go to the high school. They changed the rules and says, no, we're only taking the better kids. But these are the kids you taught. These are the kids you guided. Why aren't you taking them into high school? Because now you're a successful school. There are so many high schools that could use students in their high schools, but they're struggling. And they're still in the stages of learning how to run a proper system. They're not like Torah Semes. They're not like Torah Tamim. And they're not like different schools that have who have years of experience and rabbis that have been there for many years. Our yeshivas are not doing the jobs properly, or they're picking and choosing. We must force them into not allowing the abuse of our children. Hey, we paid you tuitions. Now we're struggling a little bit. You can't just throw us out. You've got to work with us, and we have to find a way to create a better educational, and the city to give us some more money to help pay our tuitions, to help after-school programs. You know, me and my wife work, and when our boys were little, we had to get a maid because the daycare programs didn't work. So I had to go to my mother and my mother-in-law, which was tough. What are you going to do with little kids in the evening? Or after hours, after 2, 3, 4 o'clock till I get home 5 o'clock? Why don't we have these aftercare programs like the non-Jewish neighborhoods? There's so many of them. Why don't we have tutoring programs? Why don't we have volunteer programs? We need this. This is what our community needs. You're right, I'm going on a lot of issues, but I'm telling you what I am involved with. I'm telling you my personal problems. So you want to hear the problems of my community? The problems of my community is me. My hands are in the dirt. I'm the one who has a parking issue. I'm the one who has to pay that water bill and tax bill and yeshiva bill. I'm the one that when my son comes home at night and didn't eat lunch that day, or embarrassed that he didn't get his $10, or we forgot to give it to him, and he said, Ty, I didn't want to bother you for the money. It hurts me. These are the issues that bother me. People don't understand. Sometimes the kid is embarrassed to go out with his friends, or he doesn't have the extra $2 or $5. Sometimes we don't have. We forgot to pack him a lunch, or there was nothing in the refrigerator to make him that lunch.
What frustrates you right now? You're running because you want to change things. You mentioned a lot of issues, but on the overall scheme of things, what is frustrating to you? Like, do you see anything where you feel that, like, why isn't this getting done? This is not something that is hard. This is not something you got to change by law, by city councils, or anything really. You know, I'll try to, let me simplify really the question. Is there anything you feel on day one that something could really change if things were just done differently?
Yeah, first of all, I always, and you're going to make a joke of this, a lot of my people, I believe there should be a clean sweep. Wipe out the community board. Wipe out Department of Buildings and Sanitation commissioners all across the board. These guys are making it harder for the citizens. They create red tape. Then finally, when we follow the rules and regulations, they create new rules and regulations to make it harder. You know, I have a violation on my house for, I don't know, for doing a driveway without a permit. Now, it takes me time to get a permit from the city because the red tape to get this permit can take 3-4 months. To remove this violation, to order an inspection, can take another 3-4 months. Now, in the meantime, the city comes back and doesn't care what the other department says. They give you another violation called a failure to comply violation. You go down to the city to say, look, I corrected the problem. They say, no, 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 you can't submit it. You have to rewrite it. You have to go through a different department. You used to be able to give it in. And that another department gives you a harder time. I said, but the commissioner said it's approved. No, you need 2 signatures. I said, no, you don't need. The commissioner stamped it. We need to stop the red tape. We need to stop the city from changing the laws without my permission. And every government agency, the 312 agencies that you have, keep changing rules by themselves without our permission, without an oversight, without a civilian thing, and they're making it harder. The first thing what we should do is figure out a way to replace all these old guys because they're not doing their job correctly. They think that they're working for their pensions. They think they're working for their jobs. Their job is to help me, to put their job on the line to take care of me. But they're so busy about themselves in this me generation, in this me world. It's me, me, me that they want to get to retirement. Unacceptable. You know, a lot of the police officers, and I like police officers. You know, the other day we saw a couple of police officers eating by Amnim's Pizza, and I ran over to bring them food because I know they put their lives on the line. But a lot of them, the older guys, are just busy with their pensions. Let's give a ticket, we'll drive the guy down to jail, we'll sit 9 hours in overtime. What do you mean, why do you need overtime? There's 2 shifts, there's 3 shifts. Why do I need a guy from the first shift to be on this shift to drive in? Do you know the overtime increases in the hundreds of millions of dollars? There are officers making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. You know what they do half the time? They just walk you around. And they go slow, so it takes you longer to be in the system. If they understood that by 8 o'clock they have to get you out, we'd have less people in jail. Go ahead, process them, take them home. Don't wait for it to go longer. But they got to move the system slow because they know how to do this. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you. It's the red tape, and it's the way they do the red tape. You know, a year and a half ago I had an issue with a sanitation officer. And I told it to a lot of people. The sanitation commissioner tried to make it a point to torture me. To show all of people in Borough Park that they have the power to torture us. David Greenfield went on the radio and said, well, The sanitation is coming down the block in the next couple of days. Stand back and let them give you tickets. It's on the radio. He was on his show. What do you mean? He says, well, if you interfere and give them a hard time, they'll arrest you. I mean, this is unacceptable. What do you mean arrest you? I'm allowed to argue my point. I'm allowed to fight when they're doing something wrong. And we know the rules of sweeping in front of our property between 6 and 8 in the morning and 6 and 8 at night. We know there are restaurants and schools and people throwing the garbage in front of you. But you'll see many times tickets, and I know I've done thousands and thousands of them. Thousands! I observed at the time of garbage, at 12:30 p.m., garbage on the street. I observed your garbage bag had rat feces in it. Really? Seriously? Maybe the cat went in there or scratched the bag, but if they see little toenails in the bag, they call it a rat infestation. $600 penalty, not a $100 penalty. I was on 13th Avenue by a grocery store. The guy says to me, every day he gets a $100 ticket. Every day. Now, you know the sanitation people are not there at 6 o'clock, but at 7:30 in the morning, before your alternate side stops, he's waiting till you get the ticket. He's waiting. He's not following his truck. He's ready to give you a ticket at 7:31 that you didn't move your car at 8 o'clock.
So why don't you tell those type of people to have video surveillance?
So a couple of people do surveil the video, and when you go to court, by the way, the judges tell you, well, you can't give it in, or you can't give the video in, or we don't have the technology to accept the video. Take a picture. Yeah, go to administrative court and try to hand in your little ID card and try to give that in as evidence. I want to see the judge look at it in court and show it to you that he looks at it.
Well, that's something that you could legislate as a council member. Would you do that?
It's already should be acceptable. It should be part of the law. Again, when you go to court and you win the cases, by the way, when you finally beat them at their own rules and regulations. So the mayor has an outstanding from Bloomberg to Mayor de Blasio that says that even if you win, remember the city wins 90% of its cases. If you win, especially some of the hard ones, they go and find a way to appeal you. Even it costs them thousands of dollars to appeal a $500 or a $1,000 penalty. They want to appeal to show you that their appeals board has ruled against you, so in the next case you can't bring up this decision or other people can't beat the city. They're just looking for fines. Last year $1.2 billion were issued. This year I hear it's a little over $2.2 billion. Are you crazy? Everybody's a criminal in this city? I don't know.
It sounds like you would have a tough time if you become the next councilman of the 44th district. Do you feel your job is going to be even harder working under a progressive administration?
100%. I know my job will be hard, and I'm very good at making friends. I'm very good at meeting people, and I'm going to be telling the issues to the people. If I see councilmen or other people not cooperating, I'm going to go to my constituents. I'm going to go and spread the word that this is not working out. I'm not acting like Mr. Trump that people are saying. I want to tell the people what's going on. Half the times we don't know what's going on behind the doors in our councilmen and assembly's offices. They're making deals and they're not telling us. They're putting through legislation. Assemblyman Heiken, I brought this up on my show. He's bringing legislation to sue schools 50 years after the child has been abused or molested. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I understand these people have to be punished, and you can punish them for the rest of their lives. But to sue a school with a new administration and new children and put a school out of business, I don't agree. And why haven't you asked the people this? Maybe you are right. Maybe you should push through legislation like that. Why hasn't anybody else discussed it or backed you on it? Why are you pushing this legislation through without us knowing about it? And Senator Felder, I love you. You're really a good man, and nobody has a complaint about you. Do you know why? Because really I don't hear much about you. I really don't see you standing up there. Why haven't you endorsed anybody in this campaign? You've been in my community for over 30-something years. You have 3 people running for city councilman that you have to work with. What do you mean you're not taking a stand? You're my senator. I want you to choose and I want you to endorse somebody. Whether it's me or Kalman or Mr. Heiken, endorse somebody. Don't stand on the sidelines. You know the issues. You know our qualifications. You know all of our histories. They're open books. Pick somebody that you think you could work with. Sitting there on the lines, not endorsing, unacceptable. Making a party in the middle of Borough Park of the rides was very nice of you. Anybody could have done that. I wanted to do that. I ordered a permit, a street permit, by the way, to do something of this kind of an event. You're right, for my campaign and to do something of this kind of an event. I still haven't been approved. How is the senator able to get approved before a citizen? I don't know, I know that you wanted your name on there and you did a great job and you had a lot of people, but I'm a citizen too and I'm entitled to the same privileges as my senator. I ordered my permit 30 days before. I still have not been approved. Explain it to me. Just explain to me. I followed your rules. I did your little red tape. Nothing. And I know the system better than all of you.
Do you think when your name came up there was politics behind the scene?
I don't believe it was politics. I believe that it's the same slushy work, sloppy, just non-caring about us. Not caring. And you just have to fight them. You have to call them constantly. People think, oh, you make a phone call to your councilman. It works. Even in my office, sometimes you call me and we forget and you have to call back 2, 3, 4 times. But these guys, these politicians are very busy, and after you start bothering them 3, 4 times, they just wave you off as a wacko.
So how would you be different that you're not going to do the same thing if you win?
My office is off. As of now, I've been in business for many years. I mean, you're talking since '94. I've had plumbing business, construction business. I have an expediting architectural business, and people know. I'm talking. I haven't dealt with 12 people or 100 people. Thousands of people have come through my office. We've done hundreds and hundreds of just permits in the last couple of months. Thousands of sets of inspection. Thousands of violations. Thousands of guiding of people through personal agendas that they had. My office does a lot of community service as well, and we donate and help package foods and whatever. I don't want to keep bringing it up. We help inmates in jail, raising money for them. We help take them out on furloughs and try to give their families a break to see them. We try to get some money to their families. We can't do much, but we try to direct them or guide them. We try to help their children. My office, and people know, is an open door policy. Now, and people come in there with issues. I make money and sometimes we don't. My office is open now to the regular community. People just come in and sit down. Yes, sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes there's a line like anywhere. But we have an open door policy. As city councilman, I'm going to have the same open door policy. Sure, you can make appointments. We will have appointment days and we will have an open policy day. And I will be available to you guys all the time. I will have liaisons in the community calling you back. I do answer my emails. I get hundreds of emails a week. I get over 200 calls a day just on my cell phone, let alone in my office. I try to return all of them. I try to text back. Everybody makes fun of me. You're texting, you're pulling over your car, you're taking too long to get here. Yes, I also have an issue with the hospitals. I have an issue that I don't believe our care is right and nobody's overlooking them. I want to talk about my community hospitals, in my neighborhood where my people are unhappy. Again, you're saying, oh, Heshy, another issue. Yes, my mother recently passed away. I wasn't happy with the care over there. I wasn't happy with how they took care of her. I'm not blaming anybody, don't get me wrong. I just feel that I've listened to other people's complaints about the same complaints that I have, and nobody has addressed it.
So how would you change Maimonides? They service thousands and thousands of Jewish, Orthodox Jews, and there's so many complaints.
Again,
how would you change?
We have civil. We can take community board members. They have a board of directors over there. We get people from our community to get onto their board. We oversee them. We are on part. We have volunteer programs of feeding the people in their kitchens and their people. We have so many different.
There's so many patient reps. So many from this, from that. So why is it still not working?
Still not working.
What is the issue? Are the patient reps not good patient reps?
They're good.
Or there's not enough? What is the issue?
And I don't believe a job. We need volunteer programs or committees. You know, when I have, my first thing is I plan on going around to independent business owners to create a committee on how to bring in jobs from our community people. Independent business owners, and create like a community board, a committee, and then one of their committee members to sit on our board, a community board. I want to bring in developers and builders and contractors that will again create a different committee. Again, somebody sitting and representing them on the community board on how to take care of my community. Same way with the hospital on care. Same way how to watch over our yeshivas and schools to get them more money, to get our lunch programs up and running. Not to have abuse with the lunch programs, that once they have these programs, that they actually give nutritional and good foods to our children. Make sure that there are dinners and suppers for families that don't have it. Watch over rabbis who come to our communities and collect in kind. You know, recently I had a rabbi that I'm suing who took money from me to donate to a sick man that was being evicted. He took and pocketed the money himself. Now usually I don't care about this kind of charity, it wasn't that much money. But it bothered me that he let the man get evicted. And says, oh, the man anyways, we didn't raise enough money, I took it for my son's wedding. unacceptable. And this is a respected rabbi in our community.
Isn't that criminal?
It's not criminal unless I press the charges, and I did donate the money to this thing. He just used it for something else, which I did give it to him to pay. I really gave it to this collection of collections. I don't know what it is, and I think it should be criminal. I think it should be overseen and watched, but I didn't want to make it a criminal. I'm just here to say that this time I want my money back. I never asked for a donation.
Did you get the money back?
No, I'm in court with him still to this day, and I'm pursuing the fact.
So why sue? Why not just press charges? File a police report?
Because there's so much to do. Instead of having people arrested and stuff, you know, again, the court system, just a terrible system. I mean, on the local level, on the criminal level, we can move things along on the city level much quicker. You know, people are getting criminal tickets now today for double parking their car. You know that? Really? I know you're keeping the eyes open. My partner double parked one day on alternate side parking, and he forgot. He came out late, and the traffic couldn't get through, and another person parked on the other side. They were beeping, screaming, and getting like 10-15 minutes late. The police came, and they issued him a criminal ticket. He ended up just giving a $100 penalty on it. They lowered the fine to something stupid. Again, how do you do that? Why is it criminal? Tow his car? I understand that. Again, we're moving along the system slowly, and I want to move it along faster. I want to oversee and change rules and stop the red tape.
There's a saying, you're fighting City Hall. I think most people would agree. These are all important issues. Things have to be fixed. The question is, how do you fix it? Now, even if your solutions would work, you can't do it by yourself. You're going to have to be working with many other council members. Yes, now sometimes you have to change the laws actually. It's not just about knowing and speaking them, picking up a phone and just changing things. How are you going to navigate working with other council members?
Well, I'm going to come up with an idea. I'm going to tell it to the community members, and then I'll present it to the other members, and again, try to change the laws or try to work with other members. Then I will come back to my people and say, listen, this is the best I was able to get out of my other members, or these are the things I have to compromise with. And I'm willing to compromise to move it along faster. Instead of having legislation sit for 2 or 3 years till my term is up, I'm willing to make a deal now to make it move a little quicker. And sometimes you don't need to be able to work with other council members. Use the laws that are in place to move those agencies along quicker. Set up committees to put those agencies. Say, hey, Commissioner, you're not doing your job correctly. Hey, Commissioner, why is my community suffering or getting more ticketed or violations or not being watched over or not sending in your traffic cops to help us ease the traffic? How come you're sweeping the streets of other communities in Bushwick or Bed-Stuy or Harlem, and you're not coming into my neighborhood and sending us those helpers? Why don't I have more cans on the street for my store owners when people come out of their stores when they throw the garbage instead of on the floor? There are agencies and there are programs in place. Use what's in place and try to force the agencies to do their job. Go to the Department of Finance and try to tell them, listen, I have a 2-family house. I have a guy now who has a 1-family house, really, and he pays taxes as a 3. He got a violation, and I just noticed it. He said, I've been trying to change with the Department of Finance my tax level. He said, I submit the papers, they said they send people down. 7-8 times already he's gone down there. These agencies just have rules of how to do things that are just unacceptable. You've got to change their own regulations that already exist and have a chat with them or say, listen to me, I will go back to the council members, I will go back to the people, and I believe that your entire department should be fired and replaced. And I will demand the people of the city protest and scream and holler, look, the Department of Finance is doing wrong things. Your commissioners are changing laws without permission. You're creating consumer affairs licenses that don't even exist. You're sending your health department people in for 1 degree off. You know, do you know that if a restaurant runs out of paper towels, it's a $600 penalty? Now, I know health department inspectors that sit in the store, watch till all the things come down. You know the worker's not watching it. So he comes back about a minute or 2 later or until somebody complains. By that time, he already has a violation for running out of paper towels. Is that acceptable? Explain that to me. Explain it to me. These are the issues that I have.
What kind of staff would you have in your office? What kind of people would you surround yourself with? Because you're not going to be able to do this all by yourself. No, nobody can.
Correct. So when I start any of my business, which was construction business, I was in the construction business for over 15, 17 years, from plumbing. I've had a safety record of perfection. Yes, people cut their hand, they fell down, no lawsuits, no major injuries, or whatever complaints they did make or fake suits against me. I've always proven that my safety record is perfect. I'm very careful. I teach my people. Then they have to learn themselves how to run it. Now, sometimes a client, and it happens, a client or a worker, they decide to leave me or try to take one of your workers, and they say, hey, look, this guy is your best worker, we're going to steal him. And when he gets to work for the other people, he's not as good as when he was under me. Not that I was always watching him. I guide them and I teach my staff. I make sure that they do what I want to get done. I want it to be done the way I want it to be done. I'm not going to micromanage. I don't micromanage anybody. I had a meeting with my staff the other week. I said, you guys are all great at what you do. I want better clicking. I want better communication. I watch everything, but I can't do everything. So the staff people that I will bring in will be a lot of community, people from within my community, of course. That's who I'm going to be hiring. I won't be hiring from the outside. I want to bring people in that are experienced in different fields. I want people that will learn to listen, not only to me, but to learn to listen to the people of my community, to care, to be compassionate, to love, and to listen. And that's what, you're right, I'm going to build a staff, and I'm very good wherever I was in all my businesses, or when I worked for other people like my brother or everybody, I always had a staff around me that was able to learn, grow, and get the job done. I've always got the job done. And when I fail, and I make a lot of mistakes, don't get me wrong, lots of mistakes, I will learn from the mistakes. I tell my clients, we made a mistake, let's fix it together. Let's look at the light at the end of the tunnel.
Now, you think you could get people in the district to start voting? Because they say the reason why the community is not as powerful as it used to be is because people are just giving up. Now, why have they given up? Well, what do you think is the reason why people just said, you know something, we don't care anymore?
I'm one of those guys too. I mean, it's very hard. You're right. When I become councilman, I'm going to try to push for more people to come out to vote. I'm not going to just send out mailers that half the people throw away. Oh, hi, I'm city councilman, or happy birthday, or I'm your state senator or assemblyman. I'm going to send out real stuff. I'm going to try to put more maybe flyers out and set up more speaking engagements to the different synagogues. I will go into the streets more. I won't be sitting in my office. I will be going store to store, knocking on doors. How are you? What can I do for you? I'm going to make it my business like now, when we have job sites, I personally go out there. I don't just sit them up, but sure I can send one of my workers or the manager, the supervisor. I make it my business to go out to certain buildings or job sites and inspect them myself. Even though I get to report back, I like to check my reports. I want to make sure that they're doing it right. There are many times you can spot check and go to different places.
Are you going to focus on, if you become councilman, are you going to focus on being a councilman 24/7? Because it takes a lot of time, patience, and to really be out there. How are you going to be able to manage your other businesses? Because you said you do a lot of stuff.
Right. So I will never give up my volunteer work. Don't ever think for a moment that I'll give up packaging those packages. It makes my life so much happy. Setting up my Shabbos tables or the holiday tables to have 5, 10, 15 people. Recently this weekend, my children couldn't make it. My sons couldn't come to the house for the first part of the holidays. And me and my wife said, oh, it's going to be quiet. We had 18 people at our table, and we were pleased. We were so happy. So a lot of my community, which is part of my job anyways as councilman, serve my community, will never go away. I work 14 hours a day. When I get home at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I have people waiting by my door on personal issues as charities, collections, private, personal issues that I can't discuss always. I have lots and lots of people with private issues that I can't discuss, of children, of wifeful abuse and stuff like that. That people ask me for advice. That I am 53 years old. I am the oldest candidate, and I have gone through a lot in my life. A lot. Personal stuff that usually I don't lose. I lost one time very big because I wasn't smart enough to understand the issue. I listen to other people when I know the right way. I've struggled the right way. You try to listen to the experts, but the truth of the matter is, it's your decision at the end of the day. You're the father, you're the mother, you're the person in trouble, you're the one that will listen to my advice, and then from there, again, I'm guiding you. You will then make the proper decision. Sometimes they listen to me, sometimes not. I work now 14 hours a day minimum. People say 24/7 or 24/6. Saturday night, the minute Shabbos is over, my phone is ringing. On Shabbos, my phone was always on because my mother wasn't well, so I always was prepared for the worst or for a text, you know, if something bad happened. I'm always there for my people. Shabbos, we have people knocking on our door. Heshy, there's nowhere for us to go to eat. My door is always available, open. I was walking one Rosh Hashanah to shul with a rabbi, and as we were just walking into the shul, somebody comes running from their house, and my father just passed away. What should I do? As we were walking in, quickly, it was on a holiday, ran to the guy's house, got on the phone. He was just a little flustered, called the Chevra Kadisha, which anybody else could have done. Started to help him out, called the police to make sure that that everything was in order. We did the basic stuff, sat with the young man, sat with the body till they came, picked it up. I am always available. I'm not telling you that I'm superhuman, even though my sons, when they try to get a raise in allowance, say, "Oh, Ty, you're made out of steel." It makes me feel good, you know. I do give them that extra few dollars, but I will be there, and I show you a record of 30 years more serving my community, 40 years of raising my family. You know, my father was a Holocaust survivor, and I'm a child of the Holocaust. I was beaten in yeshiva, hurt. I know what it is to be abused in yeshiva. I am one of those children that were beaten. Oh, you're going to say, Heshy, you were very wild. I was not that wild. I wasn't wild enough. I didn't do drugs in yeshiva. I wasn't drinking in yeshiva. There was a lot of other stuff going on. I was a little wild, like any kid is. So I know what it is to be abused as a child. I saw my friends sometimes getting angry and abusing their children or wives. I've seen our parents sometimes lose it. You know, my father died when I was a young man. I know what it is to have a single mother raise you for 40 years. I know what it is to be cheated. My half-brother took all of our funds and I had to help my mother rebuild it. So I know what it is to have holes in my shoes. I know what it is to go to yeshiva with an old pair of pants and embarrassed. I know what it is not to go into to shul with your pants ironed to try to look like the rest of the guys, or having an old hat trying to make it look like the rest of the guys. I know what it is. Trust me, I know what it is. I am one of the men from the street. Am I going to give you my time? I promise you one thing. If you look at all the people that I've served in the last 40 years, my family, my secondary family, the children that we've taken in. My father came to America with 1 and 2 sisters. I have 89 nephews and nieces. I have hundreds of other people that have come through my house that call me Uncle Heshy or Papa or Grandpa because they've come through my house and they're like my family. So I know what it is to raise families. I know what it is that somebody who wants a family. Recently I heard a story of a man. They went to, a good man in my neighborhood, he went to away for a weekend. And he was sitting on a table, he was giving out a little liquor to people for his kiddush. And he sees a young guy sitting there by himself. And he says, "Next to you." The man said, "I'm going through a divorce." You know, I know what it is families are breaking up. I know that people want families. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. I know there are good and there are bad. I want to keep families together, and sometimes families break up because of the struggles and the plights and the money issues or the living conditions. And I'm going to try my best. The one promise I'm going to make you, everybody has promises of what they're going to do. Let me give you my promise. I will always be there for you. I will always take your calls. I will try my best to solve the problem. And so far, my best has been very good. I've solved lots and lots of problems. A lot of people love me. A lot of people like me. Children, adults, people that I've helped get married. I go to hundreds of weddings and bar mitzvahs. Why? They want me to come, whether it's the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes, not for the little gift that I leave. Sometimes I can't because my wife doesn't give me allowance either when she's angry at me. So I'm embarrassed when I'm broke. Yes, she's in charge of the money. So sometimes I go without lunch. Thank goodness for Amnon's. He loves me for so many years. He gives me free pizza when I tell him I'm broke. But this is the issues of my community. I am not here to represent anybody else but my community. People make fun, you're the congressman and the vice president. I want to be a councilman so I can represent my community, fight for my community, help my community, and not only that guide you, I might know stuff to get you through certain issues. I might show you a way to get yourself a license easier than anybody else. I might be able to show you how to fight those tickets or violations. I might be able to put together a group of jobs or community leaders to help guide our young children to earn a better living. These are the things that I want to do for my community.
Are you surprised at the nastiness of, like, there's 3 Orthodox Jews running and everything has to be nasty?
I've said this before, and I speak to one of my opponents, Kalman. Wonderful man, and we don't want to run a hate campaign. I know that it happens. I'm disappointed about it, and sometimes I lose it too, that I text or I WhatsApp something that shouldn't be said, but I don't do that. I will not have those nasty ads. I disagree with it. This is a small community. It's a community of people that need help. They need guidance. They need to fix their issues now. Fighting, talking about other stuff or personal issues, let's just talk about the issues of the day. I don't want to run a hate campaign. Whether they talk bad about me or not, sometimes I sit back, I laugh. My brother-in-law calls me, my sons call me, say, chill out, Rabbi Eisenberg. The rabbi told me, Heshy, whatever they say about you, don't care. I said, but if I don't fight back, I look like a weak and meek person. They said, no, it makes you look stronger. I don't agree with them, but I'm listening to their advice. I'm taking it under consideration to see how bad it is. But the truth of the matter is, hate campaigns are wrong. As a Jew, we should love our fellow brothers. I'm not talking about as a community leader, but if you're a religious man, especially with my opponents wearing black hats and walking around with ties and so on like that, we must follow halachic rule. No matter what, whatever religion you're part of, you still have to answer to the holy God in heaven. The Holy Father in heaven says that you must love your fellow brother and sister. You know, the Torah says that if you have a friend and an enemy that are in trouble or has to load a donkey, you have to go help your enemy before you help your friend. You have to lend him money. We have to follow the Torah. We have to follow the rules. I wish I can learn like a lot of the holy rabbis all day long. And my opponents are very learned and educated, by the way. I've heard some of their speaking of Torah. But you have to put it into effect as well. Chesed is so important. It means doing good for your community and for your fellow man. Trying to hold back. I don't like talking bad about other people, but again, I'm only human, and they say to err is human, to forgive is divine. I err a lot, make mistakes. Forgiving is a big problem for me.
Now, if you're not the person that is the next council member, would you help the next person, whoever that is, whether it's, it's either you or Mr. Heiken that's going to win, or Mr. Yeager. It's one of you 3. Now, if it's one of you, the other 2, are you going to help them succeed in their mission if they're the council member? Well,
I'll be honest with you. I believe I will win the election. Please vote for me on November 7th. Heshy, Harold, Tishler. But I've always served my community. You know, I've had Senator Felder call my office about issues in the neighborhood that he had a problem with one of his constituents. And he called me, Heshy, what are you doing about it? And I told him exactly the system, how I'm handling it. He says, okay, call me when it's done. You know, because the guy called him to see if he can move it along. And I told the senator, you can't. This is the way it works. I don't care what your constituent told you. There's no other system. And he says, good, I should get it done. I've called to Greenfeld's office and Heiken's office many times through the years. My sons volunteered and helped Heiken even though they ran against him. I'm disappointed that he did something wrong to one of my children, used them incorrectly, and if I would have known, I was told about this by somebody, and I tried to, and I want to apologize to him on your interview, that I told him it wasn't true. When I found out afterwards it was true, and I try again, I miss different things. Of course I will cooperate with my community. I've always been on call for anybody that ever needed me. I've had the police officers in the local thing come to ask me for pictures on my cameras. I've had police officers come to me for different issues in my neighborhood. I mean, it depends what I will cooperate with, you know what I mean? Nothing to hurt my community, but only to help my community. If anything I can do, of course I will do it. Anytime, you know, sometimes I volunteer privately with my sons. We go visit different people at the nursing homes and the hospitals. Sometimes somebody needs a ride from my Maimonides to Cornell Hospital. We're there for you. We want to serve our community. I am always available to do something. That's what we're here for. I had a rabbi who taught me some Torah. It's called Meser L'Shem Chavevis L'Bavas. And I said to him, Rabbi, why was I punished in the past? I said, I did good for my community all these years. I'm owed by God. I should have a big account up there. And the rabbi is reading the pages to me. He says, nobody owes you anything. You are created here to do good, to help your fellow man. Nobody owes you anything. Whatever reward you get upstairs when you pass away after 120 years is all extra, is a profit. Don't think you're entitled to anything. You're below even. You owe God more than He owes you, ever will owe you. So whatever I do good is not meant to do good. It's an obligation. It's a responsibility. And if my councilman or my senator or my assemblyman call on me to do something that the community is needed to be done, I am there for you. Always will be there for you, without even a doubt. And I've always been there for you.
What is the final message to the people watching this? What do you want to tell them?
I want to tell you a story. This is my message. Recently my son got married. I'm going to bring this up at the debate. And I was standing, my mother passed away right after the last wedding, but she was there. And I was there with this rabbi. We were sitting in a room, and after the event was over, the chuppah, so we were sitting in a room and we were looking through this glass door. And the rabbi calls me over with my mother, and she complained a little bit. Look, Heshy's being more successful now. Things are going good for him. Look at the fancy things he's doing. I trained him to be better than that, to take care of fellow people. I think he's forgetting. The rabbi calls me over and says, I want you to look out this glass. And he tells me to point. He points to somebody out there. I said, who is that guy? I said, that's Reb Chaim. He's having a little bit of a heartache, paying his mortgage now. He's struggling on his job. And we're trying to help him as a community, and he's struggling. He says, he points to another person over there. Who's that person? I said, that's Reb Matcha. He has this program. He's trying to take care of special children. And it's a struggle for him every day to raise the money on them. And he's a good man. And he points to one more person. He says, who is that guy? I said, that's Yossel. Yossel is a homeless guy. He comes to the weddings. And he has sometimes no place to go. And we all know him in the community. And he's struggling. And he says, how do you see them? I said, well, I see them through the glass. He says, how do you see them through the glass? I thought the rabbi is making fun of me. I said, it's a glass. It's transparent. You can see right through it. He says, very good, Heshy. Then he turns me around and he makes me look into a mirror. What do you see? And I laughed. I said, I see myself. A good-looking, handsome man. I made a joke. He says, no, what do you see? I said, I see myself. He says, where do you see it? I said, I see it in a mirror. He says, what is this mirror made out of? I said, glass. He says, I don't understand. The other glass you were able to see through, and this glass you can't see through? I said, well, Rabbi, it has silver behind it, and it's blocking the other side, and it's made only to reflect myself. You're right, it's the same piece of glass, but it's different. He says, correct. He says, don't think now that you are better or you're more successful, that you cannot look and be transparent and see through the glass of the other people. Don't just look at yourself because you have a little silver behind you right now. Be different. Keep looking through that glass. Look at those people and be transparent. I went home right away. I have an expensive mirror in my room, and I scraped off a lot of the silver in the back. And now when I look in that mirror in the morning, I always see myself, and I see through that mirror to remind me to look through that mirror and be transparent. I will be transparent. I will have my office open. I will look through that glass and see you. I will not forget who you are. I will be there to try my best and not forget to see who I have to help. I won't be looking in that mirror to see myself, that Mr. Honorable Councilman or fancy man, or making fancy baseball games and wasting my time at a baseball game when I should be playing baseball with the kids. I play baseball. I used to play baseball every Friday till they shut down our park for a couple of years. I want to be the one playing with the kids and helping them to grow. I don't need some big event. I want it for the children. I want them to sponsor, to play with the kids, to enjoy it. I will be that guy to see through that glass, to see who you are, to be able to understand, and I will be transparent. That you will always able to get to me. That is my message.